Welcome everyone to another night review. Today we have this 2021 Ford Bronco Badlands two-door with the manual. And in this night review, we're gonna take a look at all these exterior lights, the interior ambient lights and controls, and take it out on the road for a test drive so you can see just how well this Bronco does. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time for a night video, be sure to check out some more in the description below. I do them on a regular basis. I also have a full review of this Bronco coming out soon if you want to see all of the details. But this is the redesigned Bronco, and I'm going to talk about all the exterior lights here. So first of all, you've got Bronco written across the front grille, and we've got these LED signature lights. You've got the circle around that headlight and that line coming into the grille. Now every Bronco is going to give you LED high and low beams, but the signature lighting will only be on a few of the trim levels, so something to look out for. We don't have fog lights here because we have the modular front bumper. Be sure to check out the full review for more details on that, but some of the Broncos will give you LED fog lights. And you can see our blinker is also LED. It shares that part that runs into the grille, and overall I like these circular headlights. They're very classic, and I think it's a nice tip to the old Broncos. This is the anti-matter blue metallic paint. It's a very nice looking paint. It's a deep blue with some metallic-y flake. There's a section in the mirror where there's a light that I'll show you in a little bit. On the side body, you see the marker light in the front, and in the back, we've got these large 33-inch tires because this is the Badlands. You can even get 35-inch tires, but ours are still 33, and they're pretty good size. Obviously, this is a two-door Bronco, but you can get a four-door Bronco, and we've got LED taillights in the back. These are full LED. That blinker in there is LED. It's even amber colored, and I'd like to know what you think. They don't mirror the front headlights, but I don't really care. I think they still look pretty nice. And then you've got an LED license plate light as well. Then let's take a look at the brake and integrated reverse lights. Now a quick look at the cargo. We have the swing door and the flip up glass. So we don't have any lights coming from here because it would be exposed to the elements, but there is an LED light, a couple little LED lights over here. And if we zoom in, you can see the Bronco inside of that light. So that's a little bit of light for this cargo area. It's not as cool as the Ford Bronco Sport that has those little floodlights attached to the rear liftgate, but it's a little different because this is a modular vehicle where you can take off the roof panels. But there is, if you have the seats folded down, there is a little bit of lighting right up above right there to shine into the back seat, and when you have the seats folded, it'll be plenty good. But wait, before we hop in, there's even more. It's this thing called zone lighting, just like with the F-150. So if we look straight out front, it's got the headlights on, it's got the daytime running lights on, the mirror lights are on, so it's got spotlights. And I'll show you what this looks like from the inside and how to control it, but you can turn on different zones of light around the vehicle. So you see in front, you know, obviously we have the front lights. On the side, we have a spotlight coming from the mirror, and then there's lighting directly down at your feet. So when you approach the vehicle, you can have that lighting down at your feet automatically come on as well. So you've got some approach lighting, the spotlight from the mirror. And then when we come to the back, you even got more lighting that helps you see back here. So you've got the reverse lights turn on, and they're actually pretty darn bright to illuminate next to the vehicle. Now, why would this be something that's helpful? If you're camping, if you're loading, if you're doing anything at night, you can turn on the zone lighting without the vehicle being running and have lighting on all different sides of the vehicle to really help you out. I mean, it's actually a really nice feature. I used it on the F-150 multiple times, and it works great. So you can see the spotlight from that mirror, if it refocuses, shines off over to the side to give us some light over there. So the zone lighting is a really cool feature that you can get with this Bronco. The zone lighting controls have their own shortcut. You just go to features, go to zone lighting, and then you can turn it on, and it's going to tell you to turn it into that running light switch, and then you can turn on or turn off different zones. So you can have just your running lights on, you can have your headlights actually turn on, you can individually turn on each side of the vehicle, turn off all the zones, or turn on all of the zones. So that is really cool. Just to look out to the side, if I turn it off, turn it on, just like that. It makes a real big difference when it's really dark. Now hopping inside the Bronco, foot on the brake and the clutch, push button start, right there. You've got your push button start button right there. We have a manual transmission as well, and a couple of big screens in here. So these doors are removable, but you still actually get lights for your lock buttons right there, which is a little bit surprising to me. And then you'll see down here, you also get some footwell ambient lighting. This is part of the mid package. Just to the left of the steering wheel, this is where you get your interior brightness controls, regular headlight controls, and then on the left, those are the spotlights for your mirrors, which I just showed you with the zone lighting. And then you've got your electronic parking brake down there. I really actually don't like that we have an electronic parking brake on a manual and the fact that it's down there. But all the steering wheel controls are nicely illuminated. This is Ford's ice blue that we see in pretty much everything else. And then you've got a digital display right here with an analog display over there. So speed, and then your tach is actually really small in there. With the manual transmission, I'm not a big fan of that. This display is kind of shrunken down because it's got some blank space over there, but that section on the right is changeable for different aspects of vehicle information that you can see here. So it is nice, it's just I just don't like the setup quite so much. And then coming over here, one thing that I really appreciate is this is an off-roader and your off-road controls are illuminated up here. So we have a disconnecting front stabilizer bar button there, and then a locking front and rear differential, and then you've got your traction control and hazard. So those are nicely illuminated, and there's a little bit of ambient lighting that even comes down right there above this screen, which is a 12-inch screen, and this is the optional screen. An 8-inch screen is standard, but this one is massive. This is just like what you see in the F-150 with Ford's sync system. Quickly go to features, you can get to your zone lighting right there. Other customizable settings down here. We have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto as well, so that's really nice. Plus, you even get wireless charging, which is right down here, which you can't see. If the display is just annoying and bright because it is pretty big, you can go to your settings, go to display, turn the display off, or even go to a calm screen where it just shows that. Tap it again. You can get back to your settings, go to brightness, and change the brightness of the screen on here pretty easily. The interior brightness controls over here by the steering wheel change the brightness of the buttons, the brightness of that display, even the brightness of that display, and primarily just the brightness of all of these buttons in here. So you can really make this a nice dark dim cabin if you want to. The other thing is that there's a couple little bits of ambient light that come out from the top. That can also be dimmed with your interior brightness control. It shines down below the dual zone climate control, all this stuff, which has nice illumination, but it illuminates this section where your shifter is, where your four-wheel drive controls are, a couple of backlit USB ports down there, but it just makes for a nice little illumination down here. Now I just turned the overhead light on so you can see a little bit better. We have technically a 7-speed, but it's 6 with a crawler gear. And then you've got wireless charging here, your cup holders, and then your window switches and mirror controls are actually over here, and those are even illuminated. They have to be there because the doors are removable. And then on the inside here, what do we got? No, nothing special, no lighting. Ford's glove box doesn't even have any lighting in there at all. But overhead, you've got illumination for some aux switches, auxiliary switches to hook up some extra lights or whatever you want for this off-roader. And then you've got interior LED lighting, which is pretty bright. Even though the top is removable, you've got these visors that have their vanity lights too. Now for vehicle-specific lighting, go to vehicle on there, and then we can go to lighting right here. This is where you can turn off your automatic high beams, even your daytime running lights, or a couple of other features here. We can go back, and then we can go to ambient lighting here as well, and you can adjust the brightness of the lighting at your footwells to where you can completely turn it off if you want to, or you can turn it back up and make it pretty bright. But as far as I can tell, I don't believe there's any way to change the color of the lighting. All right, now looking out front at the headlights, you've got a nice strong beam pattern, really bright in front, but it still stays pretty steady off to both the left and the right side, and there's really not a lot of dip right there. So we don't have fog lights or anything, and the width is not very good, at least no fog lights on this particular model. But as we turn the high beams on, that's nice and bright right in the middle. Nothing too extravagant, but we'll get them out on the road in a second. This does not have the IIHS ratings, but the Bronco Sport does, and that gets the best possible rating. So I would expect this to at least be as good as those. Now a long distance look at these headlights. So I like to line up at this hill, and you can see the bottom of the hill, the red posts over there, and even some on the left. This is better than most vehicles that I see. And then the high beams right there line up that hill fairly well. So I think this is gonna get a good rating and do a good job. Let's get them out on the road. All right, y'all, we are now behind the wheel of this Bronco, and in this test drive, I'm gonna have the automatic high beams on so we can see how those do. We're gonna get on some dark roads, and I just want you to get an idea of what it's like to live with this Bronco driving at night for entertainment or for some real sake of driving this thing at night if you're really curious about it. Now, like I said, there's no IIHS headlight ratings at this time, but from my first impressions, they've done a really nice job. And right off the bat, the first thing, we're gonna get on a road that actually has some decent illumination. And like I said, the automatic high beams are enabled, so they might turn on and off at their own. I'll let you know when I turn them off myself. One thing to keep in mind is that we have an automatic dimming rearview mirror. No automatic dimming side mirrors, but it's nice to see this automatic dimming rearview mirror right here because it's not frameless. It can actually take up the entire section of the mirror, which is really nice. But this Bronco has the 2.3 liter, which is not the best one, not the fastest one, but it comes with the manual transmission, and you probably can tell right now that it's pretty darn noisy in here, windy, because we've got a removable top. But that's not what this video is about. If you want more driving impressions, be sure to look in the description below and stay tuned for my full review. So right now, so far so good. We're behind somebody and the high beams have not turned on against them. Sometimes vehicles are super sensitive to street lights to where the high beams won't turn on anyways, but we'll get on a dark road in just a sec. Now I'm curious right here, we're about to pass these people, and I want to know if my high beams turned on right away. So that was nice. They're on, even though we don't need them on this road. As soon as we pass that car, boom, the high beams turned on. Now we're about to get on a darker road where we're going to be able to see the headlight beam pattern a lot better and just give you a much better idea of how well they do at night. And coming up over the hill, the high beams just turned on right away. I'm going to turn them off in a second, but they have some really good distance right off the bat. So now I'm going to go to the low beams. We'll see how they do when we flatten out here. And I can see down into that corner right away. So the distance here is good, especially in my lane, which is the way it's supposed to be. They are not adaptive, so they're not going to go up the lane here. They're doing a decent job going around the corner. And considering we don't have fog lights with this bumper, the width seems to be good, but we'll look at the width a little bit more. Now I turned the high beams back on, so they're automatic. I can see well down the road, very well down the road. And then the low beams, I can still see pretty good. I actually like where those low beams land without too much of a dip and cutoff on the oncoming driver's side. Now high beams going around the corner, they're doing okay. We actually have quite a bit of natural light tonight, so it looks a little bit better than what some other vehicles look like. Going around the corner here, high beams, and the high beams just turned off because we came across a car. Now in Ford products, I've had some good and bad experiences with the automatic high beams, but they've been fine in this Bronco. There's a car that just disappeared over the hill up there, and the high beams just turned on. Now let's go to the low beams, take a good look out there. I'll look at the width. They're not as wide up close as I wish they could be, especially for an off-road vehicle. If you're at night, if you have to go off-road at night, or if you're in some sticky situations, I wish the width was a little bit better. But the low beam distance does a pretty good job. I really can't complain too much about that. Now I'm gonna get on a skinny road here with some trees on one side so you can get a little bit of a better look at these lights. So slowly coming in here, low beams are on, nice strong beam pattern over there, high beams, low beams. The low beams still have good distance, and then the high beams, low beams, now that we're flat, we can really see really good. I definitely am happy with those. High beams again. But overall, I would say the ambiance in this Bronco is also nice. It's better than I expected because it's a utilitarian kind of adventure vehicle. It's not meant to be, you know, some fancy, well-lit type of vehicle, but it is. It does a nice job. The screens are nice. If you want to get that big screen, you can turn it off if you don't like it. You've got ambient lighting from up above, an automatic dimming rearview mirror, the zone lighting to where you can turn on the mirror spotlight. Now look out there. On, off. That does a really nice job, and you can do that on both sides or have lights all around the vehicle like you saw. But let me know what you think of this Bronco, and be sure to check out my Bronco Sport video as well. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.